Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, all I heard from the other side of the aisle this year was on all bills. Does this bill have recurring revenue? Does this bill affect the budget? They even tweeted out to all their followers, in case you're wondering, we're trying to fix the budget. Really? How? With obstructionism and propaganda? Let me explain why you should vote for Senate Bill 860. Over 100 years of Democrat failures has got us into this mess. This didn't just happen in 8 years since we've been in charge. It's not perfect. This bill is not perfect, and I did not vote for any tax increases for this budget, but this is where we're at. This is the budget we have, and it's time to get this done. We Republicans continually get the blame, but this is a mess that was handed to us by Democrat failures. So how did we get here? We got here by the oil and gas revenue dropping by 70%. All the secondary tax base that came from those families that lost their jobs and not spending their money, and all the tax credits incentives that's been flying out the doors for millions and millions of dollars. We got roads and bridges funds that's going to off the top, billions and off the top money going out that we cannot appropriate. 500 to 600 million a year going to ODOT. And why? Because over 100 years of Democrat failures to put money into our roads and bridges, we had the worst roads and bridges in the entire United States. This Republican body stood up, took control, and sent that money to fix our roads and bridges. How about the teacher retirement fund? $300 million a year going off the top. This Republican-controlled majority passed that to save our retired teachers because the Democrats' policies failed, and that retirement fund was failing, and we've saved that. Well, how about tax credits? Here's a little secret the Dems won't tell you. They passed the corporate tax giveaways in Oklahoma when they were in charge. Let's take a look at some of those. In 1994, they passed Senate Bill 841, which provided 2 incentives to oil and gas, and the Democrat majority passed that for horizontal and vertical drilling. They dropped their tax liability from 7 to 4% for vertical and 7 to 1% for horizontal wells for 2 years. They went back in 2002 with Senate Bill 947 and passed another sweetheart deal for oil and gas to give them an extension to 48 months. But we Republicans get the blame for that. You know what we Republicans did as leaders this year? We went back and took that 1% to 4%. And that 1% was all the wells that the Democrats give the sweetheart deal for. They have failed us, and they failed to put a mechanism in place to see if we got a return on our investment, which we did not. But Republicans did. What about the windmill bill tax giveaways? In 2001, the Democrats give that money away too in Senate Bill 440. That's all the wind credits that go to the wind industry. How about in 2002, they passed Senate Bill 1451 to give more windmill tax giveaways for an additional tax credit to windmill turbines. But wait a minute, Representative Bennett, wasn't times better back in those days? No, there were 3 revenue failures when they did this, in 2000, 2002, and 2003 when they passed these giveaways. How about this? We get the blame for the income tax all the time. Well, guess who passed the income tax in 2004, 5, 6, and 7 that took money away from teachers and everywhere else that they keep blaming us for? The Democrat-controlled majority did. How about this little article I got from the Daily Oklahoman from 1986 when the Democrats were in the majority? They promised to keep budget cuts to education as low as possible when they were going through the same crisis we are right now. They tapped revolving fund accounts for about $120 million, which equals about $300 million in today's money. In common education, they tapped them and cut them 10%. We Republicans have held education harmless for years, even in this bad budget year. In the past, the minority leader defended the gross production tax, and he wrote in a May 2010 op-ed that low taxes were necessary for making Oklahoma attractive to oil and gas drillers. And I quote, "We must maintain incentives to promote drilling in Oklahoma. We have to compete against other states with tax credits and incentives aimed at attracting capital and investment away from Oklahoma. Our economy in Oklahoma runs on energy. We must keep Oklahoma competitive," unquote. As House Democrat leader in 2014, he said his caucus was unable to support a gross production tax on horizontal drillers, later on chastising us Republicans for wanting to raise the tax. Fast forward 2 years later, and he flip-flopped again, calling for, quote, "indexing the gross production tax to the price of oil," unquote, and that was in 2016. He did it again in 2017. So what we have here is Democrat obstructionism, and they are just pounded in the media about how they're for the poor folks and doing for education and public safety. Well, they're not, or they would be trying to help. Every time we try to bring them to the table, they do the old Charlie Brown trick. They move the football before we try to kick it. It's not popular to make tough decisions, but when you're in the majority party, as we Republicans are, we have to make tough decisions, and that's what we're going. This GA bill is where we're at, and I'm going to vote for it today. It's called good government. But being obstructionist is against this, and that's what they're going to do. Even though I don't like some of the budget, I do like other parts in the budget. We have cut government, and we protect the core functions of government. We don't need to come back in special session like they're pushing for. It's a waste of taxpayer money. We need to do what we were sent up here to do, balance the budget and protect our core functions of government, and I believe this general appropriations bill has done that. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a situation of the Democrats handing us a big pile of horse crap. And a pessimist will say, yuck, this stuff stinks, it's a pile of crap. But an optimist or a leader will dig into the pile of crap in the hopes of finding a pony. I don't like the crap that we've been handed, but I believe we found a pony. So I'm voting yes on Senate Bill 860. Let's do what they sent us up here to do. Let's vote this through. Let's go home and let's protect core functions of government just like we promised. I encourage you to vote yes on Senate Bill 860.